how we eat is even more important than what we eat. Hi, this is Alexandra yet again, and in this video we're talking about up-leveling your food rules. And I'm going to say this again because it is really important. How we eat is even more important than what we eat. And in our society today, people have caught on to the idea that what we eat is incredibly important because they have realized that we are what we eat. So many people are switching over to organic foods or local foods, or maybe even growing their own food, coming away from processed foods, getting away from fast food, and home cooking their meals again. What society has not caught on to yet at large is that how we eat is at least as important as what we eat, if not more important. If you have been part of my circle for a while, you may be really getting tired of me saying this, but really the how we eat is important. The attitude we bring to our food, the attitude with which we cook our food, the place where we eat our food, the manner in which we eat the food, the speed at which we're eating at has tremendous impact on how well we are digesting it. And how well we are digesting it also influences the way we are assimilating the food, and that becomes part of the body. So in Ayurveda, we say, you are not only what you eat, because we all know that saying, right? Whatever you put in the pie hole, that's what you become in your physical being. We also say we are what we digest or don't digest. And we are also saying we are what we poop or we don't poop. So basically is what we're saying, what matters is not only what comes into the pie hole, but also what we are getting out of the pie hole down below. So that's just a little side note, but how we eat has an impact on how well we are digesting the food and how well we poop everything out that the body can't use actually. So there's various food rules, and I have put them together in a very organized manner, and I called them the right speed and amount, the right timing, the right liquid intake, and so on and so forth. And we're going to go through these food rules now, and then you get to fill in your own action sheet so you can pick one that is at the forefront for you right now. So the way we eat is very much determined about the right speed and the right amount that we are eating. If we're eating our food too fast, the body cannot assimilate it. We have to eat it in a very relaxed manner and in a spacious manner. So in a moderate pace. We also have to chew our food until it's an even consistency before swallowing. You might know that when you're eating, you may be putting something in your pie hole and then you're chewing it a couple of times and you're just swallowing big chunks. Well, what is the stomach going to do with these big chunks? The stomach doesn't have these teeth with which to break things down. The stomach only has acids and enzymes. So you need to chew your food until it's an even consistency so that the food has the chance to, first of all, mix with the saliva, and secondly, to be mushed down by the teeth, so mechanically mushed down. And then only do you swallow it, and the stomach will have a much easier time to assimilate it. And in terms of the amount, you only want to eat until you're 75% full. So what that means is that you're not filling your stomach to the brim, but you're actually only filling it until 75% full, so 25% is left for God or for space to be churned things around. I always bring the example of the washing machine. You wouldn't stuff a washing machine completely full. You would put partly clothes in it, partly water, and partly would leave some space for things to be churned around in. And in the same manner, do you want to feed your body only, or your stomach only, to 75% so that there is some space for things to be churned around. And then lastly, you eat according to your constitution. So if you know that you have a Vata imbalance, you eat according to that. If you know that you have a Pitta imbalance, you eat according to that. And if you're eating according to your Kapha imbalance, then you're eating towards that. Quite frankly, at this point, you probably don't know exactly what that means, and that's okay. But I wanted to bring it into your consciousness and include it here. You probably will need more education in order to make this really happen. And this will come with time and hanging around in my circles. So the next section will be right timing. So most of you probably know that having your largest meal at lunchtime is a good idea. If you've taken Body Joy, we've talked about this because of the doshic clock and the way it manifests. At lunchtime between 10 and 2, so 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., Agni or digestive fire is the strongest, and eating a big meal during that time of the day will be much more easily digested. Then I eat a smaller dinner or I skip it is also a good idea, because in the evening time our digestive fire is naturally low. So if we eat a big meal at the end of the day, the timing isn't quite right. Then I allow at least 4 hours in between meals without snacking and without eating anything in between. That is the minimum amount of time to keep in between meals to prevent inflammation. If we graze throughout the day, the body never has time to rest, and especially during a detox, you want to keep ample amount in between meals so the body has time to cleanse itself, to detox itself, and to do its cleanup work. Now, I have to say one thing: if you are a very Vata type person and you're used to grazing all day long, so you put something in your pie hole every 30 minutes, a 3 meal or 2 meal a day plan is probably not attainable for you, and you will go high blood sugar rather. And that's okay if you start out, say, with 6 meals a day or even 7 meals a day, but then start cutting it down until you arrive at about 3 meals a day. If you are very Vata in your digestive system, you may have to take a snack in between and have 5 meals a day on a long-term basis. But for most of us, 3 meals is pretty much attainable. And lastly, in terms of timing, I eat only when my body is truly hungry. That means you're not eating when you're emotionally hungry, but when your physical body is truly hungry. Because our emotional body can be fed in many other ways and not by food, but we're just using food to feed ourselves. But really, physical food is for the physical body. It's not so much for the emotional and spiritual body. Although there is a component to it, but we do not want to eat when we are not hungry. The body won't be ready. The enzymes and acids won't have been produced. Right liquid intake is another of the big food rules. And I want to remind you, just take it in for now. You don't have to do anything right now. Just listen to this, and at the end of it, there will be a worksheet where you can pick one, because there's a lot of them, and they are all tiny ones. And they don't seem to be like, what? If I change that, that's going to do something? But yes, it's going to do something. And I tell you what, that I cleared up my digestive issues a lot by applying these food rules. And I have noticed lately that I am actually pretty perfect with the right timing part. I'm not so perfect with the right speed and the right amount, but I'm perfect at the right timing, and I'm pretty good with the right liquid intake, and I'm pretty good with the following things. And as long as we are 80-20 with the food rules, we're doing pretty well. So right liquid intake, what that means is that we want to take our major liquid intake in between meals, because we don't want to water down our acids and enzymes in the stomach by drinking a lot of water with our meals. You want to take a small amount of water with your meals, though, because if your food is too dry, it also can't be churned around. So say your food consists of a piece of bread and some crackers and a little bit of something on it. That's a pretty dry food, so you need a lot more water. But if you eat, say, a soup, which is already liquid, then you probably need very little water. So as a general guideline, you could say 4 to 8 ounces with your meal of water or some kind of liquid. It often works well. You drink only hot or room temperature water and not ice water, because you know that ice water will kill your Agni. And so sticking with that, even in restaurants, is a big win. Now, the first thing I do when I go into a restaurant is when they say, oh, can I bring you something to drink? And I immediately say, water without ice. And that's just a standard sentence that I now say. And luckily, the place where I live at, they are also pretty esoteric, and they know many people have their quirks, so no big deal. And then I fast on water in between meals. And that goes back to having 2 or 3 meals a day. And just having water in between allows the body to cleanse itself. That applies long term, but especially on a detox. You want to keep only water in between meals, or if nothing else, you can have some tea. But anything else, even milk, is food because it has proteins in it. So we want to be as simple as possible. Then we want to eat with the right attitude. Very important. If we just eat to feed ourselves and just stuff our face, it's not honoring our food. We come from our food. Our cells are made up of food. The more we honor it and the more we make it a sacred ritual, the more easily the food will be assimilated into our bodies. I mainly eat food prepared by loving hands in a loving way. And the reason that is so important is because whatever energy you put into the food while cooking, that will go into the food, and that is what you're going to eat. So if you are preparing a meal when you're angry or sad or crying, that energy will go into the food, and that's what you're going to eat. So you want to eat food prepared by loving hands. Now for a cleanse, what that means is that you're cooking all your meals by yourself. You don't go out to eat. And because you never know what the energy in a kitchen is like if you eat out all the time. I relax after meals to let my food digest. So sitting after your meal for 15 minutes or so, just to let things settle down. Very helpful, very important. You will have a much more relaxed day. And I know you're going to say, well, I don't have time to do that, but start at least during your cleanse. And you will find that actually you do have the time, because you will be that much more productive after you finished your meal. I notice the tastes and flavors in my food. Interesting that, when you slow down the way you eat, so if you slow down your speed, you automatically notice more what you're eating. If you get distracted by television or by reading something or by listening to a podcast or something, and you don't notice the flavors and the tastes in your food, and there's more likelihood that you're overeating, so you're not sticking with the 75% full. There's more likelihood that you want a dessert. There's more likelihood that you're just like, oh, well, I just stuff my face full with all kinds of other things that are not good for your constitution. So noticing the tastes and flavors in your food actually also will snowball into all of the other quote-unquote rules. So the rules aren't standalone. It might be that you're going to work on one rule, and that's going to impact 4 of the other rules. And that's pretty cool. So, and lastly, right place. I believe that's the last one. Let's check real quick. Yep, that's the last one. So right place. I take food in a proper place, in a beautiful place. Now, how often have you found yourself in front of your computer, or maybe behind your steering wheel, or maybe in a meeting or at a lunch meeting, and you're just kind of eating, but it's not really beautiful, and it's not really a nice place. Now, if you're working in a city, you may even find yourself next to the street, or in some kind of conference room where there's no window and it is claustrophobic. Where can you find a beautiful place to sit at? Outside maybe, or maybe just a corner in your office, or some kind of quiet place somewhere in your workplace or at home. Even make sure that your table is clean at home. That often I find too. Right now I'm living with my friends, and there's this one table where we're eating, and this table is also the clutter table. And the first thing that I do when I sit down to eat is I want to clear out the table. I have to do it every single time, unfortunately, when I'm eating there. But I find when I don't do that, there's so many distractions, and I don't feel like I'm honoring my food, and I'm not honoring my body, and I'm not really taking in the deepest essence of the food that I'm taking in. Eat sitting down. Don't eat while standing up. That's another common thing. Is like maybe you're cooking, and while you're cooking, you're stuffing yourself with a little bit of this and a little bit of that. The body is not prepared to take in any food while standing up. It's kind of that stable quality we're looking for. Our bodies need to be stable in order to digest well. And it's not happening when you're running around and when you're not truly enjoying it while standing up. And eat without distractions. So that means don't have your television on, don't have your computer on, don't have a podcast on, don't read a book, don't talk to your friends while eating, but simply when you're eating, eat without distractions, and see how that shifts your entire relationship to your food and your entire relationship to life. Because here's the thing, the food is about taste, isn't it? It's about, here we have taste buds in the mouth and we eat food and we get the taste. And the word for taste in Sanskrit is rasa, R-A-S-A, rasa. It's taste. Rasa, but doesn't only mean taste. It also means the flavor of life, or flavor in general. How are we flavoring our life? How are we juicing up our life? How are we tasting life? So by simply tasting things without distraction, and by sitting down and having a proper place and eating in the right manner with the right attitude and with the right speed, we are actually getting a deeper appreciation, a deeper juiciness and taste for life. So what I'd like you to do now is pause or stop this video afterwards and pull out Up-Level Your Food Rules on page 14 and 15. And I'm very proud of these two worksheets, and they're very organized and in 5 sections, and I love that. And go through this worksheet and mark where you're at with each one of them from your point of view today. Then pick 1 or 2 that jump out at you. Where like, I need to up-level these 2. These jump out at me for sure. And circle them, and then pick 1 of them. Pick 1 to work on and write it down in your food plan at the bottom where it says food rules. What food rule are you following? And follow it for the entire detox. Just this 1. I don't want you to choose 2 or 3 or 4. No, just pick 1 and work on that. And you will see the profound impact that a simple shift like that can have. Food rules are amazing. You need to follow them. Trust me, they really can clear up your digestive issues big time. So, thanks for being here. Much love to you, and have fun with the worksheets. And I will talk to you very soon in the next video that I can't remember what it's about right now, but I'm sure about something fun. All right, bye.